Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us today. We recently had a lot of things happen that have changed life forever, it seems.
Entirely.
We've had recently a dramatic high and a dramatic low, all kind of wrapped up around the same time frame. So half of this is very exciting, and we're looking forward to sharing that with you here today. But first, we just wanted to give a little update on the family. This past weekend was actually the funeral of Papa Bill. He passed away just a little over a week ago, and we got a phone call. I forget what day it was, but Mama Jane called in and said the nurse, it looks like from the nurse's perspective, it's only going to be a few more days. So that gave the family time to kind of rally and travel from Tennessee down to South Carolina where he was. And so we got to drive down there, and it was a really special thing. The past deaths in the family, you don't always have a warning.
To say goodbye.
Yeah. And this time we did.
Watching Papa's decline and going to South Carolina so frequently over the past years with my training, knowing that a death is coming, it's just something that you're never really prepared for. And 2 weeks ago Monday, I was there with my Mama Jane and taking her to treatment, and there with Papa, and he I told Brandon he's noticeably weaker than he's ever been, and it hard leaving and saying goodbye, because I feel like these last few trips there's been a wondering of how many more trips we'll have. And when Mama Jane called and she said Papa's not doing well and he had a really bad night and we're gonna have to move him from home to hospice because we want to make sure that he's comfortable. He was very, very weak and struggling to get in and out of bed. So Brandon was at work and I called him and he said, let's go. And so we were able to pack up that evening and drive straight to South Carolina as soon as he got off work. And we were there not too long after Papa got to hospice. And it was just so hard. Getting to be with him was such a gift, knowing that his time was nearing the end, and knowing how much he loved people and how much he hated to be alone. Just being able to sit in his room and hold his hand and to see that he wasn't in pain. There was such an incredible team of people who were taking care of him and checking on him. I think it was relieving in some ways to know what good care he had and that he wasn't in pain. But I just wanted to have a goodbye because we've spent so much time together. I feel like over the past 3 years we've just gotten so close. In his early decline, his short-term memory went away pretty quick, but his long-term memory stayed. And he turned into a night owl, and at night he would sit up in his bed and he would just tell story after story, and he would talk about growing up in the Salvation Army and his childhood memories with his siblings and his mom. And it was just so special having that time with him and getting to know parts of his life that we had never taken time to share. And so just getting to be there in his last little bit and just tell him we loved him and be with him and just be surrounded by family. It was truly a gift to have a chance to say goodbye. It's hard to even imagine life without him, because even with his memory not there the past bit, he was just so pleasant and so happy, and his smile lit up the room.
Here you got hair.
Ooh, where'd I borrow it?
It's been a hard week, but it's also been a beautiful week of reflecting and remembering and just thanking God for the grandpa we had, for the Papa Bill and the tractor rides and the time and the love. Just growing up in such a safe, happy, healthy environment where we knew he loved us and where we know he felt loved.
And going back to that final visit before his passing, again, we didn't know if he would be asleep and be able to respond, but Michael got in there and she talked to him, and he started smiling. I think he recognized her voice, and hearing, they tell you hearing is the last thing to go. When a body is shutting down, hearing is one of those last things that are there. So even if a person's not verbal or if they're not making eye contact, still talk to them, still let them know you care, because they can hear you more likely than not. And I feel like you responded to your voice.
It was such a gift just to be there. And though he might not have known who I was in relation to him, I think he did know how much I loved him. And he always seemed happy with visits. And it was such a delight to have the years that we had with him, and especially the past few during his decline, just to get even closer and to get closer to my Mama Jane. And she has been so strong through so much. And just watching her sit beside him and hold his hand and thank him for 60 years and watch them together was something that I will forever treasure. One of my favorite things he ever told me was, the choices you make today determine the choices that will be available to you tomorrow. And he would use that in so many instances. He would talk about finances and debt and life and a marriage partner. And he would just say, whatever you choose today limits or multiplies what's available tomorrow. And it's just he had so much wisdom about every area of life. And he loved the farm, he loved sports, and he had a wonderful Papa Bill.
And a neat thing from my vantage point is that his loss of memory, it's kind of neat to see a person, even though their mind might be going, their heart is still there. And there were times when Papa Bill, he didn't remember who we were when we were visiting, but seeing his heart come through still. That person, Papa Bill.
He always made us laugh.
He did. And I mean, we've been married for going on 10 years. And just recently we were visiting there, and he didn't remember that we were married, but he knew Michael was staying upstairs, and he saw me go upstairs. And he's like, now who's that boy going upstairs with you? You guys can't be up there together now. And he didn't know we were married. So I appreciated his moral concern.
Yeah. We had to remind him that we were married and we were visiting and we were allowed to be together.
So it was kind of funny, but it mattered. That mattered to Papa Bill. That was in his heart. It's just like there's a standard morally there that I very much appreciated, even though mentally, he wasn't, aware of who I was. But then other times it would come back. Yeah. It was just like, oh yeah, Michael and Brandon.
Yep.
And
there were many times I'd visit and he asked me how I was doing, and I'd let him know who I was. And a few minutes later he'd say, well, I'm glad you came to visit. And you could tell there wasn't a connection. But then all of a sudden he would be like, well, where's Brandon? And it would be like, he remembered.
He does. Yeah, he did.
I feel like the times before the memory loss and the times during were both a gift, because he was just such a wonderful Papa Bill. And I feel like you don't talk about Papa Bill without Mama Jane, because they were just a team. They were dedicated to each other and they did everything together, and we didn't see one without the other. And just every visit, I feel like getting closer to both of them. And it wasn't just family. I feel like Papa Bill and Mama Jane became grandparents to so many, and so many loved them. We took college friends and high school friends, and we took everybody to the farm. It was such a place of peace, and just really treasure what God gave us in such a tremendous grandfather.
Yeah. I don't know if amazing is the right word, but so many life-altering things happened at the same time for us. I felt like with Papa Bill, it was the closing of a chapter, but right along with it was the opening of a new one that we didn't see coming.
I feel like very unexpectedly, in the midst of our grief, God gave us something that was just such a treasure.
Brought tremendous joy. Do you want me to go into this?
Go for it, yeah.
So I got a phone call, I don't know if it was a week and a half before all this stuff with Papa Bill started to happen. there was a situation, a couple little ones that needed a home, and you know, we can't go into a lot of details, but it was foster related. And on that phone call, I was thinking, well, I don't know if we qualify. We've been pursuing adoption. We've been undergoing the process for adoption, and you know, had our home study completed and different things. That was the route we were pursuing, though we didn't have a direct connection to anybody. But that was the road we were taking. And he called up and he said, this is a foster situation. So I told him, I don't know if we would qualify for that. And he said there's some factors that might make you eligible. If you were, would you want to take this opportunity? Mike was in South Carolina.
I was with Papa Bill and Mama Jane.
She was there.
Looking back, I feel like was such a gift, because I was with Mama Jane when Brandon called me, and Papa Bill was just so excited. And I was supposed to stay for 3 days and be with them during her treatments. And one of the last things he said to me was, "You need to go home and get those babies." I didn't know that was going to be the last time I saw him at home, but I will forever treasure him knowing that I was coming home for that reason.
So she rushed home.
I did.
I called her from Tennessee. I knew what her answer would be, but I called her anyway. I said, here's the situation. And, you know, she was beaming with green lights. Yes, 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 yes. And so anyway, I called her pastor back and I said, if you know, we're able to, if we meet the criteria for this, we want this. We want to pursue this. They were supposed to call us the next day, and I don't know if I've had a longer day. I don't remember the longer day since then. No phone call came in the morning. It got into the afternoon. No phone call came in.
I was so nervous.
It got into the evening. I was like, she's giving us the yes or no phone call. Do you qualify or do you not? And we're just like, are we going to get kids or are we not? You know, we didn't know what was going to happen. We're willing, but that doesn't mean we're going to get them.
And the excitement was building, and I told Brandon, I'm going to crash so hard if we don't qualify, because I mean, we were just so thrilled already.
So we waited, and we have 2 little boys now, a 3-year-old and a newborn. And we don't know what the future holds here, but we are taking it a day at a time and enjoying this foster experience. We were not mentally, I was not mentally prepared for this.
I wasn't either.
We've been praying for years that God would provide, you know, a way for us to have children, and neither one of us saw this coming. It wasn't the route we were thinking we were going to go. All of a sudden, we're a family of 4. And
we love it.
It's amazing. Parenthood has been a shocker for me, just because, you know, when you have a pregnancy, you're kind of building up 9 months of anticipation, and then the baby comes, and then they're an infant, and then, you know, growing. But this one, the baby's here, and then there's a 3-year-old who's into everything.
He's so fun and so curious and so full of life.
He is. He's adorable. We love him to death.
Yes.
But parenthood is just like, you know,
we're child-proofing.
We're child-proofing. We're learning how to exist on less sleep.
It feels like a little bit of touch of heaven. It does feel like a whirlwind. Things happened so quickly. We got the phone call, and within 3 days we had children. And
the first little guy.
And then a couple days later, the baby came home from the hospital, and just those late night visits visiting him before he could come home to us, and we were, you know, swing shifting back and forth. So it's just been such a gift. And I think the timing that God ordained in saying goodbye to Papa Bill, and I had no idea that getting that call from Brandon and Papa Bill saying, you go get those babies, and just being with Mama Jane and her excitement. We were at the doctor's appointment when he called, and she came out, and I said, I've got to go home. And it was just, there was just so much excitement for everybody.
It seems like God ordained so many things all around the same time frame. It was a really heavy time, but then He, you know, the Lord gave us something to lift our spirits up. And these boys have just been such a joy and delight. And you know, I'm adjusting to parenthood a little bit more than Michael is, because she babysits so much. Kids are kind of second nature.
I feel like I'm in heaven.
So that's what's been going on recently for us. For those of you that were aware of Papa Bill's decline and we're praying for the family, thank you so much for doing that. Those prayers were, they were felt in many different ways.
I just want to sincerely express gratitude for so many of you who have reached out to us over the past 5-6 years since my grandpa has started his decline, and just so many of the tips, so much love, so much just advice with caring for dementia, that a lot of you have walked this journey, and it was so new for us. And just, there was an outpouring of love, and I feel like we were showered with prayer. It's meant the world to us, and while we've not been able to respond to every message that's come through, we have tried to read all of them, and it's really touched us personally. And as a family, the family decided to have a very small, intimate funeral and to lay him to rest with just immediate family and very close neighbors. And so it's not something that was shared publicly, but it was something that so many of you reached out just to say that you cared, and we just appreciate the love as we grieve. It truly has meant the world, and thank you for the continued prayers for Mama Jane, because this is going to be a difficult new normal as a widow.
So it's kind of an update of what's been going on here with us recently. There's great sadness, but there's great joy, all at the same time. And we appreciate your prayers going forward. One for Mama Jane and the family adjusting to Papa Bill's passing and absence. And for those of you that have reached out and say you're praying for us in relation to children, we want to say thank you. We feel like in many ways, life right now is an answer to so many prayers. And again, we're taking it a day at a time. We don't know where this is going to go, what's ultimately going to happen. We don't know time frames or anything like that, but we're enjoying.
We're loving these little boys that get to be in our home.
Right. This opportunity we have right now, we want to live it, to its fullest. And boy, they make time full and they make hearts full and all sorts of stuff. But we just want to thank you for those of you who have been praying for us. We deeply appreciate it, and we believe God is answering. We are looking forward to the future and this new normal now. I feel like life has changed forever. Something of the past that was dear is gone, but something that is going to the future has come. We are very much thrilled and looking forward to what God has in store here. But thank you so much for joining us during this time, and we hope to see you again.